Sebastian Bach were composed originally for keyboard instruments. But at the Baroque period, it was common to play any piece with any musical instrument. The connection between one specific instrument playing one specific music piece, a sonata for flute or for cello, came later on. So doing these changes is very much part of that style, because they would just play with whoever was available. The interesting twist is that a music piece for one instrument was played only by one musician. So either a keyboard player or a player of some plucked string guitar or some type of oud. And what we did was split two hands into two people so that we can sound as one through one music piece. The next three pieces are sonatas by Telemann, also Baroque German composer. And these sonatas have something very interesting. They are all canons. Canon is a music form in which two or more instruments play exactly the same melody, displaced in time. So the same thing is the main solo and the accompaniment at different moments. Because flute and cello used to play together a lot in other styles of sonatas with harpsichord, we also did our own twist. These are pieces written for two equal instruments, normally performed by flute, but when you have a really good cellist, he can play flute cello, so that's what he's doing. And each sonata has three movements. Instead of doing an all-chapped talk through each piece. I think I'll just speak a little bit and then let you enjoy the music for the 3 sonatas. In Baroque period, instead of giving the pieces a title, a name, they would give a character: happy, sad, melancholic. And so some characters are connected to slow movements and some others to fast movements. The difference between the first part of the concert and the second is that to convey happiness at a time where there was no electricity, no cars, no computers, the idea of velocity was extremely different. So the fast ones from our first part, which will be these 3 sonatas, would be like traveling from here to Alain with camels. And the second part, which is the Baroque part, and I'll talk about that repertoire later, is like going from here to Alain with a Ferrari. taking part of a series of events hosted by a research university. There's one tiny comment. Since it's not a lecture, it's going to be a very brief comment. But in order to perform these pieces within style and respecting heritage and balancing this respect for tradition with our own take on the pieces, it takes a lot of research. For any detailed information, look for us at the reception afterwards, just so that you enjoy the music and not a lecture for this time being. I would like to, before I forget, just thank everybody who made this concert possible. I'm not going to say names because I always forget somebody, but I would like to thank the Institute as well as the Department of Arts and Humanities, because it was a combined effort from these two components of our university that brought Fábio here through a project that we're calling Musician in Residence. So in order to complement the regular education that they have within the music performance program, I am bringing 2 musicians per semester to do an intensive immersion type of workshop where they teach all classes with me. They make themselves available to perform with the students, and at the end of their residency, they perform a concert with me. So thank you very much, NYUAD Institute, and my own department. As well as I would like to thank Jumeirah Etihad Towers for hosting our concert. And there's one person that I am going to open an exception just to acknowledge by name. And this person is Goffredo Puccetti. He is our professor of design, and he designed one of the most beautiful banners I have ever had in my life for a concert, mentoring his students and adding his special touch. But his special touch changes and complements in a beautiful collaborative work his teaching with his own artistry. So don't forget to appreciate the beauty of his art when you go outside, in case you didn't notice the banner, you were coming in a hurry or something like this. And that's Goffredo Puccetti. Thank you, Goffredo, for beautiful. Charlier-Pellegatti. this part that is called the head joint. Well, we call the different parts of the instrument, we name them according to our own body. So this is the head, this is the body, this is the foot. And the head is the one that produces sound. So I am going to change the head joint, switch the head joint to a different one to play the next set of pieces because of matching the style better. But just so that you know, the beak is really what makes the difference of sound, more than the materials. They complement one another. Oops. So I hope you can hear the distinction as enthusiastically as I do. So there are two main colors of the flute sound, to say it in a very simplistic manner. One of them is more metallic, more open. And the other is more velvety. Tell me you heard the difference. Good. So this means what I'm doing with my beak is good, which is very good for my students who come to the concerts and should follow my advice, I hope. So for the difference that is made by the flutist is this one, but the one that is enhanced by the material and the design of the instrument reinforces and polishes what we do with this part, because the instrument is a combination of us plus the extension, right? So this head joint is made of gold, and soft metals produce or enhance that type of more velvety sound. And harder metals enhance the brighter and more metallic sound of the flute. So for the second part, which is the Brazilian part, and is more playful, jokingly playful, than with this type of sonority that hints it but doesn't deliver. So Brazilians deliver everything in a very exaggerated manner. So that head joint is better. For the flute students around, this is a type of head joint where you can blow like crazy because it takes it and it grows with you. And I'm a short person, so short people always want to do something bigger. That's a very good head joint for myself. The first piece from the Brazilian set, which is our second half of the program, is called Brasileirinho. Brasileirinho is the diminutive of Brazilian, but not as in short Brazilian, but it's an affectionate way of calling ourselves. Fábio, I'm almost there. I'm trying to do all the talking so that you enjoy all the pieces like I did for the first part. All the pieces that we're playing now are from a Brazilian musical genre called choro. Choro means cry, or chorinho, little cry. This means we should cry through our instruments in emotion and make you cry, but cry in happiness. If there's one cultural identity element that defines Brazilians, is that we are happy. So it's something like, oh, my life is terrible. Woo! This is the type of music. Yeah, I think this is enough talk. Part. He needs to show the cello sounds also. So normally cellists switch the bow for different colors, but for this repertoire he didn't need. They won't switch cellos. It's too much for the effect, but they have this distinction of sonority. So can you show, Monticello? So this would be the regular sound. Now something equivalent to my metallic one that is called sul ponticello, over the bridge. That you can hear. And sul tasto, which is on top of the arm of the instrument. So as interpreters, according to what we know from these styles, and according to our own feeling toward that music, we choose what sounds to match with which part also to blend more our sounds or to separate. We hope that after this concert, you will go out listening to flute and to cello in a richer manner. So next one is called Vou Vivendo. It loosely translates as I keep hanging in there. So it's a more melancholic one. the connection of the first and second half of the program, why did I decide together with my music partner to name this Baroque Pearls? If one part is Baroque and the other is Brazilian. Because when you study repertoire, and I think this is what makes our world today global. It's not a random mishmash of several cultures, but it's knowledge and identity within each one of them in dialogue, in collaboration, enriching one another. And so because we're both Baroque specialists, and we're also Brazilian and play a lot of Brazilian repertoire, we're able to find structural connections that will bring these music styles together. So for this second part of the program, we're doing arrangements that are within the Baroque style, in the sense of the use of the flute and of the cello, so that they sound somewhat similar to the Telemann in structure, but they are Brazilian in style, of course. Some of them we wrote the arrangement for, but most of them, the two composers, Pixinguinha and Benedito Lacerda, used to play this choro style music together in the beginning of the 20th century in Rio, and they were both flutists. Then one of them switched to saxophone later, and once he switched to saxophone, he started improvising beautiful low-pitch melodies that accompany the flute. And so for this part, he's playing saxofoncello. When a musician has that level of skill and of knowledge, he can do these approximations without losing identity. So instead of trying to imitate a saxophone, he's taking the same function and make it sound so celloist that it seems like it was written for cello. So next one is called Descendo a Serra. This means going downhill. In Brazil, when we go to the coast, when we go to the beach, we go down the hill. But it's also slang to say playing fast. When he inserts talking about global and cultural influences, he inserts a little walking bass, since we were playing at an American university. called carinhoso. Carinhoso means affectionate, and this is almost like the second national anthem in Brazil. Everybody knows and sings the song. And he has the function of the heartbeat, because the song says, translating very loosely, I see a colleague who's a professional in literature, who is Brazilian, and who will kill me for this. But, you know, poor translation. My heart, I don't know why, beats happily when it sees you. So the melody that I sing would be my heart, and then it's my heart, so it's his heart. Brazilians can be very literal at times. Called 1-2-0, and this piece relates to the Soccer World Cup of 1950 when Brazil lost the last game. And Brazilians make jokes about everything. So this is a musical joke. The game was really, really tough, so nobody could score, but the first goal was Brazilian. And we ended up losing, I think it was 3-2. But this music was composed the next day as if the game had ended at our 1-0. And you can hear in the way the lines are written how it sounds like somebody's trying to cheat on the other person to go around with the ball. So it should sound like this at least. If it doesn't, it's our fault. He didn't let me. I always make compliments to him in specific music pieces. And for the first time, he forbid me to do this. But he can complain later. because he can't complain now. So I will say the one that he forbid me to say, and another one. And I hope it's not going to be the end of our duo. You know, to play this together, we've been playing together since when we were kids. We went together to music school, then youth orchestra, then professional orchestra. So the friendship and the musical friendship, I think, are well set, and they will survive what I'm going to say. When I played that one that was down the hill, of course, it's very difficult for the flutist, who is the person actually going down the hill. But it's much harder for him, who has very few notes and has to fit them at the right spot, especially because I play it with lots of changes. So it's harder to play those 10 notes than my 10 billion notes. And I always bring it out because in that piece, he's like the goalkeeper. And boom, boom. It's very virtuoso chamber music playing to do that. But this one is virtuoso in the other sense. So we talk later. Villa-Lobos was the first Brazilian composer to have a really big international career. And he composed this piece originally for a soprano singer and 8 cellos, but it's really, really well known and it's adapted in various forms. But in this one, I'm the soprano and he's the 8 cellos. At times, I'm one of the cellos also. This is, for the first part, when it's sung, it's a vocalise, just vowels, just the voice used as an instrument. That's why it fits well the flute sonority. And for the second, it makes reference to the beautiful nature of Brazil. The way this piece ties the first and the second half of our program together is the following. Villa-Lobos composed a set of pieces called Bachianas, which are a tribute to Bach within Baroque style, but they're Brazilian Bachianas, so that they have a touch of the choro style that we have been playing in the second half of the program. And the part where I am a cello is the part where I find a sonority here to fit his plucked string, his pizzicato. prepare an encore. And when people, in an optimistic interpretation of the situation, are too polite to say, encore, I play it as an extra. I would like also to announce that in May, I'm bringing another musician in residence. And after all my talk about how important it is to have this dialogue between different musical cultures and different cultures in general, of course, it's going to be something involving local artists. In a different format, it will be an evening of song and poetry with Brazilian song. And for the first time, we'll collaborate with Khalifa University and Sorbonne University to have original poetry written for the music I'm bringing to the concert, inspired by that music, mentored by their professors, and the poetry will be in Arabic, English, and French, including that very beautiful local Gulf tradition of poetry reciting. So I hope you will come. It's going to be on May 11th. Now the